Welcome back to the Day One Podcast. I'm Adam Daly.
And I'm Brett Nord.
And as an introduction of the show, we just kind of wanted to let our listeners, new and old, know that Adam, I'm the customer support...
Wait. Do you mean new and old meaning if they're old or they're...
New to the show.
New to the show, okay. Young and old.
I always have to prepare myself for a Brett joke early on because they come and then I miss them at first and then I'm like, oh, okay. That's why I like doing the show with you, Brett.
You never know.
We have a good dynamic, and I just love being surprised.
Good.
It's like Christmas.
I'll keep it coming.
Or Hanukkah. Yeah. Anyway, we just wanted to introduce ourselves kind of for listeners that are new to the show. I'm Adam Daly. I'm the customer support manager at Day One. And Brett here, my counterpart, is our business liaison.
I like that.
Did I say that right?
It's fine. Let's see, creator of opportunities.
I like that one too.
Business development, customer engagement.
Yeah, all good things. Yeah, sure. All good things. So those are our roles at Day One, and then as a kind of a side project, we do the show every 2 weeks. We had a little break during the holidays, but we're back on our regular schedule for every 2 weeks releasing a show. And we like to talk about updates to the app. We like to talk about what else do we like?
Users, how users use Day One.
Oh yeah, we have discussions with users on a regular basis on how they use Day One, best practices, kind of their history with it, etc.
Get to know the staff, get to know people that are working on the app.
Yeah.
How they
use. We've had interviews with developers, with our CEO, designer Paul Main, engineers on our web server client. So it's a great way to get to know us, our team, kind of the background and then future stuff, where we're going, what are the plans. And so that's what our show is about.
Yeah.
We're excited today. Yeah, thank you for listening. We're excited today. On the second half of our show, we have an interview that we did with Stephanie, and she is the author of our next book club book, which we're also very excited about. Now, we started the book club. Well, this was actually a recommendation from one of our users.
Right.
It started on the Facebook community page. Mm-hmm. Someone said, hey, I believe it was Lou.
Lou Rinaldi had just read, I believe it was it the first book or the second book? I think he had read Gratitude Diaries and said we should do this.
Yeah.
And first month we talked about and read impression writing.
That's right.
Expressive writing.
Expressive writing.
Uh-huh. But you're right. It came from Lou
our
saying,
listener.
I read this book. I learned a lot that I could apply to Day One.
Yeah. So it's not a Day One driven thing, but we love participating in it because I think it kind of generates a community in and of itself, where we can talk about ideas from the books and then put them into practice in our journaling and kind of how that relates. So our next book that we'll be reading is called Simplified. What's Stephanie's last name? I totally forgot.
Sikora.
Mm-hmm. We'll be reading her book, and then we'll having a discussion on February 27th, 7 p.m. Mountain Time.
That's right.
That's UTC -7 right now.
Good.
If you want to know. And how we're going to be doing that is probably the same way we did it last time. Right. We had a Facebook Live stream going of the show or of the book club, and then we also had a Zoom call. So if you're familiar with Zoom, it's a free app that you can join in our call. You can participate via audio, video, or neither, and just kind of comment. So either way you feel comfortable. And then you can we have a discussion about the book. And we have the benefit this time of having Stephanie lead the discussion as the author. So that'll be a lot of fun. I'm very excited. So as you'll hear in the next segment, we had a great discussion with her about the book, kind of some, not details, but some high-level stuff about what she wrote about, and then how it kind of relates to her Day One. So, yeah.
Let's talk about the app. What's going on Day One?
So many things. It's a brand new year, everyone. I'm so excited for the stuff that's coming down the pipeline. And I want to stress to people that most of us at Day One are Day One users. And you may write in about an issue you're having or a bug you might have, and we've likely seen that before as well. And so we're definitely pushing for those updates as much as you are. There are feature enhancements that we personally request. I mean, I've put my name on a few of those. And then when I see you writing in about them, I'm like, oh yeah, this person knows also, So I just wanted to kind of relate that to all of you. I use Day One very much, just personally, not even, in testing as well, but just as a personal journal. That's where I'm going now. Sure. Since I've left social media, which was not an easy thing, it's all in Day One now, which is, I think for me, it has been a healthy transition. I can still post pictures, post comments and stuff like that.
Sure.
And then, I don't have to share it with all the world, but that memory is still preserved. So things that you've seen or features that you want, we've probably wanted them as well. And we're advocating for those as well.
We've talked a lot about this, Adam, but I think the exercise of writing to day one when you know it's for yourself is a different way of style of writing, and quite honestly more authentic than when you think you're writing to the public or friends that are going to see in social media. So I love that exercise of going back and being a little more expressive and deep thought into your own.
Absolutely. I agree with you. Sometimes we tend, and not everybody, this is a generalized statement, but we tend to put our best foot forward as far as our public persona, and then kind of our private persona may be different or not as open.
Sure.
And that's why I love journaling. I love being able to just write down my innermost thoughts and have those recorded for the purpose of later printing them out and having them passed on. I'd love people to get to know me that way. I think that's especially my posterity, if that is the case. Sure. Which is not the case for everyone, but that's definitely what I'm aiming for, and people have different goals for different things. But I just wanted to kind of relate to people, to our listeners, that we're also users. We're in that boat with you. We're looking for ways to, really make that experience ours. And some of the features that you've requested, we have also requested, or some of the bugs that you've reported, we have also noticed as well. But thank you, everyone, for your contribution to this project, because I think as a community, we've come together in a really great way to really make this the best digital journal out there. And that's our goal. I think that's Day One's goal holistically, is we just want it to be a great digital journal. Yeah. And so whatever features we can include that doesn't, that's not going to be feature bloat or kind of take away from that mission, we're going to look into including. So.
Yeah, we've had users reach out and say, just like you, Adam, that they don't love social media, they want to get off, but yet Facebook, because of the community, that's such a great vehicle for them to learn about other ways to use Day One. That's not support. I mean, I know our traditional channels get a lot of support questions. This is almost all exclusively use cases and how people are tips and tricks to use the app better.
Well, and thank you to those of you who answer each other. Right. I mostly go on there and just kind of peruse and skim, and if I can add to it or contribute any information that I know of, I'll do that. But I'll often see someone say, well, what about this? And then one of you will answer them. And I think that's fantastic. I think that's exactly what the community is supposed to be, is community driven. You own it, and we just kind of observe. I will let you know that we do pass on information from that. For example, we mentioned gamification on the podcast once, and there was a Facebook post about it.
Yes, right.
It was very fascinating to learn. There were some of you who were 100% against it, and that's fine. That's fine. I didn't mention that as a, hey, we're doing this feature. I just mentioned that kind of as a, idea that was out there, and it was great to get your feedback, and all of that was passed on. I screenshotted your comments. I passed them on to executive team to let them know what's going on. And so I've also seen other posts. I can't remember the name, but somebody was posting or had a post that had a list of comments of people wanting different features. They wanted to take a poll, and I was like, you're welcome to do that, and we'll probably glean from that. So thank you for doing that. Thank you for participating. We appreciate that. Just know that your voice is not unheard. We definitely look at those, and we just want to make this the best possible app we can. I'm always fascinated about software stuff, though, like how we can fix one thing and then we release, and then wait, it broke this other tiny thing, and then we get a bunch of emails about it, and it's like, oh wow, that one little thing meant a lot to these people, and that's always fascinating to me, just the give and take of different things. And software is a fascinating thing. I want to get the engineers back on, and that's a plan of ours. We were kind of tentatively waiting for some big releases to come out before we did that. For example, let me just talk about a couple of them here. We're still working on V3 for Mac, which is a major redesign of the UI. And it looks beautiful, by the way, if I can say so myself. I really like the look of the new Mac app. And there's a lot of similarities with the iOS version, so there's parity there that you can, if you start an entry on one device, you can go to the Mac and really navigate your way around just as easily there as well. So it's a big redesign, so that's why it's taken a little bit longer. There's a lot of stuff that's going into this, and I'm really excited for when that's going to be available. We're hoping in the next month or so. That's the plan. Again, don't hold me to that. I'm giving you estimates here. But that's a big one, is Mac V3 coming. I don't know what else to say about that. If you're on the beta team, you'll be able to see that probably in a few weeks here. Just get initial things, start testing it. So that'll be great.
Yes.
Mac stuff.
What about iOS?
3.5.1 was released on iOS this past week. Had some little fixes for some things that were needed, like the left arrow key on smart keyboards or Bluetooth keyboards wasn't working. That's fixed. A couple of other things that were fixed. It wasn't a huge release. That's why it's a 0.1 release. So if you're ever curious about what is fixed, we try to put as many details as we can in our release notes on help.dayoneapp.com. Just search release and you'll see the different release notes for Mac, Android, and iOS. Speaking of Android, we're still looking at... I had a conversation with the team this week about... Or was it last week? One of these weeks about Android and kind of the future thereof. We've had, comments about feature parity there on Android as well as iOS. iOS has been being developed for 8 years now, and Android is still fairly new. Right. The team is still small. We're doing the best we can. We're trying to find the best way forward for Android. So that's still on the plan. Don't worry. We're not trying to, I don't know what to say about that. Yeah. We're working on it. That's what I'll say. A big one that is coming that I know the team is working on is the Instagram importer. Yes. I know there's been some things broken on the activity feed with Instagram. For example, if you try to add a post there, it's not including the text. Well, instead of fixing that, what we're looking at here is an Instagram importer where you'll be able to authenticate your account in day one, and what it will do is pull in all historical posts and then any future posts that you post. It'll just automatically add to your day one because we're using their API. Nice. So that's really cool. Mm-hmm. That way, it's kind of like an IFT applet, but it's directly between Instagram and us. Mm-hmm. You can have all those historical posts in there, which I think is a great idea.
Very cool.
So, what else? A big one that I'm fighting for is better photo layouts in books. That if you've noticed in the iOS app, that's changed recently how the photos are laid out. So depending on how you add them, etc., you can see that they'll maintain their ratio aspect in the entry itself. That kind of stuff is what we're trying to do for books. I don't have an ETA on that, but I know that's the plan. I'm kind of holding out on my 2018 books until that's done. So just trying to be patient.
A minute ago, you mentioned Instagram. And I'd like to call out that we're doing a new campaign. We've got some new images coming up on Instagram, and would love your feedback.
They look great, too. My feedback is they look great. It's a really great thing we're doing there. So,
Some minor changes on Apple Watch. Very small.
Oh, yeah. What happened on Apple Watch? You're telling me? We
had the notification after a couple days, the prompt. That's the daily prompt.
Oh, yeah. Well, so the daily prompt was a notification that would appear that would just kind of remind you to do in your journal, and you could set different time parameters there. That's working again. The Badge app is back. I know that was a big request for a lot of people. The Apple Watch now works completely independent of your phone, so you can be away from your phone. You can record audio. You can do dictation. You can do a check-in, and then when your phone reconnects with the watch, an entry will be created. In fact, you'll be able to see if you're looking at the app, the Day One app on the watch, you can see an indicator that it is syncing, which is cool. And then you should receive like a notification or a banner on your iPhone saying an entry was recorded, and you can tap on that. It'll take you right to it. So very cool stuff. I love that you can record audio and not be connected to the phone, because that was kind of what I was thinking. What if I'm out on a walk, I don't take my phone, but I've got my watch and I want to record something real quick, Sure. You can do that now. So very exciting. What was the other one there? You pointed at that.
And I would love to do a call out to those that are really into Siri shortcuts. I'd love to have an upcoming podcast panel discussion on how people are using Siri shortcuts with Day One.
Oh, yeah. Agreed. Actually, I've seen a couple of tweets recently of people building those shortcuts. So if you want to go look for those, there's been some great ones. There was a Siri shortcut that would ask you how your day was. It would capture your some data from the health app, and all of that's done through a shortcut script that somebody wrote, and they're sharing it publicly for you. So that's really cool.
Awesome.
I don't know if you can find it in the Siri shortcuts gallery. Actually, I'm going to look real quick if you don't mind me taking a second.
And I've found I'm really good at collecting them.
Collecting shortcuts?
Yeah. Remember to go back.
How many do you use?
I have, let's see, this grid here. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Why am I not connected to the internet?
6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've got 30, which isn't
Holy crap.
a lot. I've seen people.
What do you mean that's not a lot?
Color code, so they'll have like a whole wave of different colors in a row. That's pretty impressive. But yeah, are you using them is the question. You find value.
Give me some examples if you don't mind. I know this is a little off topic, but I'm curious.
I don't mind. No, I have one start my day. I can't open it now, for example, but it will go through actually used in conjunction with the Alexa.
Okay.
You don't have one in your house. I just set off. Okay. Good.
No.
Yeah. So
we're Alexa free in this house.
What?
I won't tell you why. I won't give you my reasons.
I know.
You know what they are.
But actually,
I'm not excited for Skynet, and the invention of Terminators. So that's why.
Sure. Yeah,
I'm tin hat over here. I'm tinfoil hat kind of guy.
That's right. No, but like Stephanie's going to talk about in our upcoming interview, I know she's really big into shortcuts and automating processes. And for me, because if left to my own devices, I don't think I would be very efficient. So I need to have these kind of tools to help me stay focused. So
I like that. No, you got some cool ones like Gift Creator. I like that. I use one that takes my screenshots that I take on my phone and puts an Apple device frame around it. And so I use those for our help guides. Super simple to do. Thank you to the guy who built that, because that was really helpful. I was doing this other process that took forever. Yeah. Ooh, look at that. That is a journal one?
Yeah. Experiment with different prompts in day one so you can have it populate.
Now, are you using Hey S word with that?
No, not with day one.
Okay.
No, I was going to talk about my overall kind of morning routine.
Okay.
And I do that.
But even so, like, can you say, hey, S word,
Yeah.
start my day, and she'll do that?
Yes.
I'm not swearing, people. I'm just avoiding the trigger.
It's okay.
But that's warning. Cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would love to know how people are using shortcuts. If you're doing that, will you contact us? Go to podcast@dayoneapp.com, shoot us an email, or you can look below in the links and schedule a time with Brett, because we'd love to hear about how you use those and how that maximizes your use of day one.
Awesome.
The other thing I wanted to mention was just we're working on improving localization in day one. So better translations. We've taken a look at the projects we've had. We do mostly crowdsourcing for this. And we're just looking to make that better, because there's been a lot of updates in the app that haven't necessarily been translated. So we're working on that. Stay tuned. Thank you for your patience on this. Yeah, that's about all I have. I mean, the Mac one's a big one, and we've allocated some resources to that just to get that working. And the team really cares about making that look right. We've had 9 internal betas so far testing that out. It's still going to be going through that process, and we'll be released to external beta testers in probably a few weeks, I guess. Maybe less than that. I don't know. I wish I had more concrete data, but that's good enough for me.
Keep listening.
Yeah.
We'll keep updating you.
Yeah, of course.
Great.
Thanks, everyone, for your support. Thank you for your feedback about the show. We're always looking for ways to improve. Honestly, we're just here to pass on great information to you, and we thank you for helping us get that information as well, for you sharing your stories. That I think that really makes a difference.
Indeed. Thank you. Okay, Adam, thanks for the updates. Let's get on to the interview. We had a great discussion with Stephanie about her book for the book club.
Great.
Well, we've got Stephanie on with us, Stephanie Sikora, and talking about her new book, Simplified, which is our book club book for the month in February.
We'll be reading it. We'll be reading it and having a discussion on February 27th. Is that right? Cool.
7 p.m. Mountain Standard.
Okay.
So looking forward to that. Stephanie, welcome.
Thank you. Excited to be here.
Yeah, excited to have you here. And this is an exciting week for you since your book is finally launched.
Yes, it has been a very exciting journey, and it is finally out into the world now.
Yay. That's great. Tell us about how you decided to write a book. I know you're a professional organizer, so how did you decide to write a book about it?
Sure. So that was never really part of the plan to write a book. But I was spending a lot of time with people in their homes and also in my own home, and became very passionate about helping people to create environments that allowed them to slow down. I think we all really, there's this big movement to really slow down and enjoy things in life, but how do we do that? And so what I noticed is that people really wanted a roadmap of like, how do we create that space to do the things we want to do or what's meaningful? And so the book is about what steps to take for that. And also not just letting go of stuff, which a lot of people think about, with organization or minimalism is just letting go of stuff. But I talk about how do we build systems into our lives so that we create efficiencies for those mundane daily tasks, and really creating that space to focus on what's more important to achieve those goals. We all talk about these big things, but where do we fit them into our day and our life with all that we have to do? And so that's, so really talking about how to do that, and then what really are the benefits of doing that in our life. So
getting rid of stuff, that would have been my number one thing. Just clean house, get everything out.
Right.
But I find opposition to that with other members of my family.
Oh, yes.
Like, you can't throw away that, But that makes sense, finding that organization. How did you get started into organization?
Yeah, so I actually have a background in healthcare. So I was in healthcare for 15 years. And part of that time I spent working in healthcare, I did what's called process improvement. So basically I looked at clinical spaces and patient flow, and really how do we set up this space for maximum efficiency? So it's really bringing the same elements into people's homes and lives, because our life should be efficient with, not wasting energy, time, and money on, those little things like cleaning or putting your laundry away or that kind of stuff that bugs people. So when I left healthcare, I was on my own journey in our home. I have 2 small children and, have a husband, and I caught myself just going in circles trying to take care of what needed to be taken care of each day. And I stopped myself and thought there's got to be a better way to do this so that I can be fully present. And well, I wouldn't say fully, but at least a little bit more present. Let's be honest. And so that really started me on my journey of simplifying, of letting go of some things that didn't really add value to our life. And that's physical things, and then just things in our calendar, our day, whatever it might be. And then building systems into our home and our life, and kind of just took off from there. And then more and more people saw how it was affecting our family in a very positive way. And that, again, wasn't really the plan. And then it just became something I did in other people's homes.
Nice. I like that. Laundry mountain, man. I fear that every day.
Well, and it is. I mean, and I always talk about, if you look at that mountain, what we don't understand is the impact our environment has on us. And so that we joke maybe about this pile of clothing, but with that pile of clothing, I want to do like a illustration where it shows like how we're losing time, how we're losing money, how we're losing our energy, our motivation to do certain things, and then how it creates tension in relationships. Like you talked about how you want to let go of something, but someone doesn't. And, I talk about that and pulling in the behavioral aspect and understanding how people are wired differently, because a lot of people get frustrated because they want their house one way and another, part of the family is not really on board with that. But helping them understand and be more patient, they're not just being, difficult, but we're really wired differently. And so I talk about the neuroscience of our space and our stuff and all that, so that we can understand it a little bit better. So, but understanding how it impacts us, and then how it impacts each of us differently.
That's awesome.
That's great.
I love that. I think that's going to make a lot of sense for people that listen to the Day One podcast, that use Day One as a journal, kind of looking for ways to continue to organize their lives. And maybe that could even bleed into, and I don't want to jump ahead here, but bleed into how they organize their journal itself.
Yeah.
Again, for the idea of maximizing efficiency, right? Making sure that you're
Absolutely.
spending time where time should be spent,
Yeah, we'll definitely get into that. I want to go back to the idea of, are you wired to be organized or not? I struggle with that, thinking, okay, I can do this. And to Adam's point, like, I've eliminated stuff, but then I don't have a system in place. So I find in a year, I've got my closet full again with clothes. I feel like I can get rid of things, but it's just the system that I'm lacking. And I wonder, is it a learned skill? Is it just something that I'm going to have to do the best I can and realize I'm never going to be super organized? Or what do you think?
Well, what I've read, in the literature, and again, I'm a science nerd background.
Yeah.
So I love data and literature. And, they say at the simplest form, we all have a desire to, to be organized and to have systems, but it's different. Where they said even someone who has piles that might look like a big mess, truly there is a system there.
Yeah.
And, like Steve Jobs is a perfect example of someone who, wasn't the most organized. There's this, classic picture of his desk, but yet so creative. And, and really that's what it's about. When we clear our space, it does shift our brain. There's, again, the data, they did a study and confirmed that it does trigger a stress response. And we know, like with the benefits of journaling, is it wakes up that smart part of the brain, that part with meditation, mindfulness, gratitude, whatever it might be. And when our environments are chaotic, we're not allowing that part of our brain to fully function. And so clearing our space does help to do that. And that differs for everyone. So I would say that what clear would be, and so some people have higher thresholds and some have lower thresholds. And we go through that in our home. But I would say for you that you're talking about like, but it keeps falling apart.
Right.
It's finding the right system. And that's, when I work with people, is really helping them to understand what do you associate with this, or whatever that area is. Like, how do you utilize the space? What kind of associations do you make in this space? So helping to build a custom system of how your brain thinks to look for something, or what behavior is where, this is where I would naturally put it, and building a system around that. Because I say it's easier to change a system than to change a behavior, because those behaviors are deep rooted and hardwired in our brains. So I would say we all have an ability to be quote unquote organized, but it just looks different and based on how our brain functions.
I like that. And
sense.
Again, that goes back to, I'm going to keep interjecting journaling here just for my own sake here, but we're all unique and we all have different ways to do things. And I love that application, that it may look different for you than it does for me.
Sure.
And I got to recognize that probably with, my spouse. It may look different than what I want. And so, I don't know, I'm sure there's some cohesion there, some compromise that we work together and identify those with each other.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would say, we went through that in our home where my husband, I like things a little neater than he does, and he doesn't. It doesn't bug him the way I do. And I have 2 small children, so that's what I usually tell people: if something's not working, it's either a behavior, or maybe it could be all three of a behavior, system, and then also mindset. And so I had to shift my mindset a little bit and be like, you know what, they're 3 and 5 years old. They're not going to clean up the crayons perfectly, but teaching them some, strong habits, whatever. But so I had to let go a little bit, and because I would love it nice and perfect, because that makes mom happy, and I can focus, and I'm more present. And, when the kitchen's clean, so really meeting in the middle, my husband and he's like, I know I don't really want to clean the kitchen, but if I clean it after dinner, she can actually relax. And so we had to really understand where, how we each saw it. And so that's what I find a lot. I'm in a lot of homes, and without even asking, I am welcomed into their relationship issues around the space. So yes.
No, with that, being deep rooted, I completely, I get that. That makes sense to me.
Yeah.
It's almost as if I wish I could be incepted or something, You remember Inception?
Of course. Oh, yes.
Just kind of change my behavior.
Yeah.
Change the deep rooting.
I think you're right, Stephanie. Communication is so important. With my wife, she thought I was just neglecting things. I wasn't even seeing them. She'd be like, "Don't you notice?" I'm like, "I didn't notice that. I'm sorry. I didn't notice it was out of place. I just wasn't even seeing them." But of course, for her, she was so aware of that.
Yeah, I would say the same thing with my husband. I'm like, nope, he just doesn't see it. He still loves me. It's not that he doesn't love me.
There we go.
It's just he doesn't notice. It doesn't bug him where I'm like, oh my gosh, that sock has been there for 3 days.
That's right. That's awesome.
Oh my goodness.
And can you talk about translating this before we get to journaling, translating to digital stuff? That's also an area for me. It's easy to file things into folders. Is that an area you get into as far as digital management?
I do. Again, it's, helping people to create those systems for whatever it might be. Often people are like, oh, help me, I need a filing system. And I'm like, well, before we get into a filing system, let's go way upstream and understand why this paper's coming in.
There you go.
Does it need to come in? And is there another option? Or if it's digital, are these, again, same thing, like, why is it coming in? Do you need to keep it? And then looking at, how is it when you go to organize it? What makes sense for you? What would be a really easy process? Because if it's too difficult, you're not going to do it. And that's when things, whether they pile up on your counter and they pile up in your inbox or whatever it might be. Or like for me, it's my downloads folder. And my husband went to my computer. He's like, what is this? I'm like, I know. Don't let anyone see that. Like, I just download and I don't file it. But So it's an easy way to, quote unquote, file it, whether it's physical paper or digital space. And then also, again, it's like, what would your brain think if you're going to look for this, whatever e-copy of something, what would you be thinking? And then creating that system so that your brain knows where to look for it. Because often we'll, file it away in some place and we're like, I have no idea where I even put that. So really helping people to understand kind of what system would be easy for them to file it away and then also retrieve it. And I would even say backing up, do you need to keep it? Because we have this fear of what if and so we hold on to so much stuff. So that's something else also I work through, even with the digital stuff. So, but I love digital tools. Like there's so many things in my business, in my home, in my life that I'm often like, can we automate it? Can we, create a new system? But if there's just ways to take the brain power out of those, mundane tasks, let's do it. So
can we mention real quickly, because we've had a few people like mental health professionals on the show talk about how journaling helps with those kinds of things. Have you ever met with families or individuals or couples that deal with things on more of like a disorder level, like OCD or something like that? How does simplifying help that?
I've worked with some, I would say not so much, but I've worked with some children that have like ADD and ADHD and helping them in their spaces and really, for those children, what I found is that often the biggest challenge is that when the parents say, put your stuff away, there isn't a clearly defined home for things. So truly they don't know where it goes. Right. And as soon as we create specific homes for things, which is all part of a system, then it's clear for them. Again, it's not that they were, not being respectful and putting their toys away, but they truly didn't know where they went. And so, but I would say I haven't worked with, with OCD, anything like that. Cause again, I think sometimes, or most of the time, there is another level of help that is needed, and that's definitely not my expertise. So
sure. Just wondering if that might play into it at all. I mean, I can be like very minimalistic OCD sometimes on certain things. So I'm just wondering if like, having a system or finding a way to balance that might help or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, it's interesting because it's been amazing, the response. Like it has been like the best 2 weeks, like just people reaching out, reading the book. And, I think I shared with Brett, it's like, you go through all the logistics of writing a book and publishing it, putting it out there. And then you're like, people are going to read it. Oh my gosh. Oh, here's judgment. You know what I mean? You're extremely vulnerable. And I've just been getting so many emails and texts and messages from people saying, oh my gosh, this is what I've been feeling. And this is what I've been trying to explain to my husband. And this is so helpful. And I'm like blown away. And I bring that up because I talk about in the book that, for me, I was like, what's wrong with me? Why do I like my environment so neat and orderly? And why can't I really sit down and play with my kids until the kitchen's cleaned up? Do I have OCD or am I just really uptight? And it's understanding of how we're wired. And so I think a lot of women that have been reading the book have been reaching out saying, I feel so much better because I thought something was wrong with me because I felt bad. I couldn't really focus or be present until the kitchen was cleaned after dinner.
Right.
And so helping people to understand that it's how your brain is wired. And so how do we make it easier for you to get done what you need to do so you can relax?
That's awesome. And I think that's so needed today as well, because we get so busy with things and stuff to do and our calendars are full. And I'm glad you mentioned that as well. It's not just like organizing your home. It's your calendar. It's your planning. It's everyday life. We need to just step back sometimes and take a break. And I'm excited to get into this book and learn some things. I had some great findings and improvements through the gratitude book that we did last month. And so I think, if history tells us anything, that this is just going to help me be a better person. So
yeah.
Oh, yay. Yeah. Well, and I say that the book, sharing that, I feel like it's another, when we clear our space, when we build better systems, the changes that it makes in our brain, I believe it is just another form of mindfulness. It's awesome. Really about quieting that alarm part of the brain and waking up that smart part of the brain. That's what it's about. It's not about having a perfect space, but it's about not exhausting ourselves and not being in an environment that triggers us. It triggers that alarm part of the brain. So really about how do we create a calm space so you can focus on what's more important.
I like that.
Yeah, that's great. So in addition to inspiring, is it also like a to-do where there'll be kind of a step plan of action of how to implement?
Yeah, I do talk about the 3-step process that I use: simplify, creating systems, and then how to sustain it, because that I feel like is a piece that's often missing is, life gets busy and crazy. How do I sustain this? And so talking about that and planning for it. But I did include how-tos because, I didn't want to just share all theory because people are like, great, now what do I do?
Yeah.
So there are some easy steps in there to start implementing things into your life.
Cool. Great. Looking forward to the book club, and you're going to lead that discussion. So I'm excited that you'll.
Yeah.
And we'll have readers users submit questions. So we'll be ready for that. I'll call out that on Amazon, it's on Amazon Kindle Unlimited. It's also $4.95 if you want to purchase it, US, and paperback right now is $13.49.
That's what? It's because someone's selling it used. That's why that.
Is that
comes
why?
up.
How funny.
Yeah, I looked into that after each chat. I was like, why is it $13.49?
Yeah. Oh.
So you can buy it used, I guess.
There you
Someone's
go.
already selling it.
Somebody read it real quick and is ready to pass it on.
Wow, it's funny.
It is a quick read. I will say I designed it. I didn't want a lot of clutter in it. I wanted it to be to the point, and that's what people are saying. It's really nice. You can just read it, digest it, and take action.
Simplified is simple to read.
There we go.
There you
That's
go.
catchy.
Yeah.
Oh, I need to make a note of that.
Yeah.
Hey, I demand royalties.
Oh,
I
please.
demand royalties. You know all about those.
I'll send you $13.49 coming your way.
Thank you.
Well, I'm intrigued even now. I just started, so I've finished the introduction. Definitely by the book club. I'll have it done and be ready. Looking at the table of contents, chapter 2 is the truth about clutter. So that makes me think we don't know what the truth is all this time.
It's a myth. I know the myths about clutter.
So what is the truth?
We can't give it away yet.
Okay, spoiler. We'll save it. All right, good.
It's
I
Laundry
know I have
Mountain.
to bite my tongue. I have to bite my tongue so I don't share anything.
Laundry
right.
Mountain. That's what it is.
No.
We can go upstairs. We'll take this video, and no, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Show us the mountain.
That can be the next podcast. We're going to dive in and create a system for you to tackle that mountain.
Yes. Video example.
Reality show with Adam. I love it. All right, Stephanie. Well, thank you for that. And I want to back up and say it was great that you are a user of Day One. In addition to writing a great book, we're going to talk about your uses of Day One. And thanks for reaching out and letting us know that you're also a user. And tell us about your background. I know it's been a few years of using Day One, so tell us about your journey there.
Yeah, so my brother, my middle brother, introduced me to Day One many years ago when I had my first child. And what I experienced as a mom myself, and a lot of my friends, a lot of my clients, is that we have this guilt of trying to document all these things with, that our children do and everything in their life. And I was finding that I didn't have a very good system for it. So I look at the first year for my first child, and, anyone who has multiple children, you have a great book for the first year, and then it just goes downhill.
Yep.
So same thing so she has this great book, and then my second child, luckily for Day One, she has a book. But it was a very simple system. What it turned into for me and how I utilize it is to document like photos of my children, and I can quickly jot in there, whatever, first day of school or you ate spaghetti or whatever it might be. But it was such an easy way to do it. I had this very cumbersome system before, and I snap the picture and use that little send feature, and then it pops up on the iPhone. I don't know if it's the same on other ones, but I could quickly, whatever the memory is, and then I can tag it or whatever journal, whatever child it is, it goes right into that, digital journal. And then I loved when a couple years back, you could start printing the albums. I mean, so it is so easy for me to, I take pictures of their artwork, whatever it might be, because I tell people you don't have to hold on to everything. Take a picture of it, and each kid gets a book once a year. And it has, all their things, their certificates from swimming, whatever it is. I just take pictures of all of it, and then I might keep a few token things, but I just let the rest go. Nice. And then at the end of each year, I have all those memories. I print out a book, and they each get a book, and I have a whole bunch of them now and they don't take up much space, but it relieved me of this, guilt of, I'm not, documenting everything for this child, and I'm missing out on this. And it's so easy. And I've shared it with so many friends and clients, and they just love how simple it is. And you can do it right from your phone. So it's definitely been a game changer for me. And, I feel like a better mom now.
Right. So do you have different journals for each kid then?
I do. Yeah. So each kid, I know I don't know if the viewers can see this, but each
Right.
kid has a different journal. And so I use like the tag feature.
Okay.
I've tried a couple different systems. I'm like, do they each have a journal? Do I use the tag? Do I like, then I sort it by tag, whatever it is. But
Right.
yes, each kid gets their own journal.
Cool. Okay.
And then, so if I take a picture of Sophia or it's her artwork, I'll just tag her. And then at the end of the year, I just kind of sort it and like quickly print the album and I'm done.
Brilliant. And, we actually have a lot of people calling it or, writing in and asking, how can I get just X entries into a book? In the book printing feature, there are ways to sort or add only specific tags or exclude specific tags. So there's all ways to kind of organize those books how you want them. And spoiler alert, there is some improvements coming to the photo layouts in the books. It's going to improve the process there too. So stay tuned.
Awesome. I can't wait for that. So yeah, I know there's so many. I was telling Brett, I'm like, I see there's so many other functionalities with the app that I haven't even explored. And, but this one has been hugely helpful in our home and in our lives. It's an amazing system. And so I'm excited to check out the other ones that I've been learning about. So.
Awesome.
Yeah. I can only imagine audio for your kids. That would be nice. Do you have audio and video? How do you organize those with your children? So
the video, I give that one to my husband because he takes a lot of videos. But what I've started doing is I have either Dropbox or Google Drive, whatever, and I'm just kind of putting them in a folder there. Great. And same thing when my first year, I like put in iMovie and blah, 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 did all the titles and the music and fade in, fade out. And now I'm just like, we're just grateful to have them in one place so we can find them. So I just throw them into like Dropbox or something. But if there's a feature with Day One, please let me know.
Video's coming. Audio support is there now. I've always wondered, like, how would that work with books? Like, when we add video, how's that going to work if I want to print a book and that entry comes up in there?
But at least if it's an easy place to send it, if I take a video, I know exactly where to send it. It has a specific home. I think then, and then if there's a way to, and I know we're diving into logistics here, but if there's a way, then you can, you go and you can view them or you can airplane or something like that. I think that would be a great functionality. Again, it's having a specific location where they can go and then you know where to find them.
Yep, exactly. That's kind of what I was thinking as well. Those are my personal feelings. But anyway,
now I need some royalties.
Yeah, we'll hook you up. Under the table kind of thing.
Sweet.
Good stuff.
Awesome.
Yeah, let's see what else. So you talked about children. In fact, you've posted on your site on Facebook the video of you showing how you go through this step. That's something we're going to share on Day One as well. So someone can see your process of how you do that, right? Of capturing the art. And how do you decide? I know you said you keep a few key things, but how do you decide what artwork or what projects you do keep versus the ones you take a picture of and toss?
Yeah, I will admit I am a minimalist when it comes to like the artwork. I have two small kids and they come home every day with like a dot on the paper. I'm like, I'm not keeping this. So I become a master, and this I know this probably makes some of the moms listening cringe. Like, I become a master at hiding it in the trash because I'm like, we're not keeping all this.
Right.
Because I see so many people, I go and help them and they have tubs and bins full of artwork, and I'm like, and then they spend hours sorting through it and then they feel guilty, and I'm like, oh, this is exhausting to watch, and so I have a few pieces and I frame them and they're on display because I'm like, if I think they're worth keeping, then let's display them so we can see them, and then and I'll maybe rotate them out. But if it's something really special, like it's a really nice one with their handprint, that kind of thing. But I have pictures of the not so fabulous artwork in here, so it's easier for, like, I know I have it, so I don't feel this guilt or fear of letting go of pieces.
Right.
So I probably, my daughter just started kindergarten and they're almost at the 100-day mark. And I probably kept maybe 2 pieces, and they're both framed and they're in their playroom.
Cool. So
I'm really specific about what I keep because the memory's not in that piece. And so, and again, we want pictures and stuff like that. So I'm grateful for these books. But yeah, I'm pretty lenient. I let it go.
No, that makes sense. I mean, if you're still capturing the essence of it via photo, why do you need to keep the physical one? And then those ones that you do frame and keep end up having a lot of sentimental value later on, or.
Exactly. And I'm like, let's decorate our home with stuff that's meaningful to us.
Yes.
And we don't have a lot, but so it has to be really meaningful. But again, I see people who have, their kids graduating from high school and they have these tubs and tubs and tubs of artwork. They just throw it in there. And then just to see them go through it and then end up pitching most of it. They're like, I don't remember what this is. And so I'm like, let's just stop that right up front here. And so I'm glad I've built these systems in place when my kids are young versus 18 years down the road.
Yeah.
And then I've been, storing stuff in my basement. I'm like, if it's that significant and special to you, it shouldn't be in a tub in the basement. So
exactly.
And the kids don't want it,
Right.
let me especially nowadays.
They're going to toss it. I love the idea of either recording audio or video of your child talking about the artwork. Maybe you do that and store that in addition to, and now you can pay me royalties for that idea.
There we go. Going back.
Everybody's getting paid. Everybody's getting paid today.
Yeah. Well, I think that'd be cute, especially with the artwork that you're like, I have no idea what this is, but you have a video of your child explaining it. Like, oh, this is whatever it might be.
Right.
I like that.
Then it might be cute.
Yeah. Good. Well, that's fun. We could keep talking about it, but I want to save it for the book club.
Okay. Yes, I agree. I'm excited to get into this. Thank you so much for being a part of that and willing to lead our discussion. I think that's going to be fantastic having the author help us out with that. So,
it'll be so much fun.
Yes.
Thanks.
Yes.
Looking forward to it.
And I will add that the book, it is primarily the readers are females, but I was sharing with Brett that my brother is a 45-year-old hipster in Brooklyn, and he read it and he was like, I actually learned a few things.
Nice.
So I'm like, so a couple guys have read it and actually learned something. So although it is, targeted towards women, there are some, foundational elements about how do we build systems in our life that even male readers can take away. So.
Yeah. Well, no, I need this, obviously.
Yeah. Your wife will be happy.
Yes. Yes, indeed. Indeed.
Lay the paper book around so she knows you're reading it.
Yeah.
I
need credit for this. I need,
Yeah. How about last question? How about an audiobook? Is that a plan to maybe record yourself?
Yes. Yeah, I have been approached by the publisher to create an audiobook, and I know that a lot of my readership, females, would listen. A lot of people are listening to audiobooks, I should say now, and so that is definitely on the horizon. So just got to sell a few more paperbacks, and I can do the audiobook.
Cool.
Good. Where else other than Amazon do you like people to purchase your book from?
They can purchase it. It is available on my website, but I would say, especially if you're not, I'm in Colorado. If you're not in the Colorado area, just going directly to Amazon is the best system for purchasing.
Cool.
Most efficient.
Great.
Awesome.
Thanks,
Thank
Stephanie.
you.
Look forward to talking to you again in a few weeks.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Well, that wraps up another episode of our Day One podcast. Thanks for listening, everyone. Looking forward to having you join us again in a couple weeks.
Yeah. If you ever have any need of help, you can go to help.dayoneapp.com. Those are our help guides and tutorials. I try to keep them as updated as possible. If you have any feedback about that, you can go ahead and write in. In fact, there's a little chat bubble on those screens at the bottom right where you can chat into support if you have additional questions. You can always contact us via the in-app chat. If you go to Day One, Settings, Support, there's a contact support area there where you can chat with us right within the app. It's a really great way to get help if you need it. And then we welcome you to join our community page on Facebook. If you're a participant there, go to facebook.com/groups/day1community, right?
That's right.
There is a little approval process that you go through to get invited to that. We don't, we want to screen it a little bit, but most of the time we're adding you if you want to participate. So what I found there, and we talked about this a little bit before in the beginning, is it's a great way for users to share how they use Day One and best practices. And that's exactly what it's designed for.
That's right.
If you need help, go to support. But if you want to just talk with other users, go to the community page. Right. And if you want to talk to us as part of the podcast, or if you want to get involved somehow, write us at podcast@dayoneapp.com or click on the link below to schedule a time with Brett via calendly.com. And that's about all I have. Thanks for joining us, everybody.
Take care.